Hello there, welcome back to the shows. Quite a little bit before I start, I'll probably take a week or two off either in mid-July or early August just to relax, you know, just don't do videos for a week or two. Mainly it's because I don't want to just be churning them out. I'd rather rest up a little bit than get back to it, because doing these videos I try and concentrate and try and do them well, so I don't want to just start through the motions. So I'm going to take a little break some point in the summer just to recharge my batteries. I'll say when it is, when it comes up, either on Facebook or at the end of a video. I'll post it at the end of the week of videos when I'm going to stop for a week or two. But it's just like a week or two. I've got plans for the most of the year. I just want a little bit of a breather. So I've just done the World War II stuff. I'm going through the breast and stuff. So I want to they are tiring. So I want to give myself a breather too. Not having the thought of having to do videos every week. I want a week or two off from that. So that's just a big quick announcement. I'll take a week or two off and I'll be back. So it won't be as long as it was beginning of the year or anything. It's just a short term thing. Okay, the film for today is Mizoguchi's Ugetsu. This is the Criterion version I've got here. It's a wonderful box. You get a disc, but you also get a documentary, a 2-hour documentary about Mizoguchi as well on the disc, and you also get a booklet where you get the short stories that were used for this film. It's a really nice package. The print is great. It's one of those really nice. Basically, I'm just checking to see here if there's anything else I've missed to say. There's a lot of commentary by Tommy Raines as well, and there's a few interviews with different people who worked with Mizoguchi as well. So it's a great package. It's available in America and Britain, so you should be able to get it for a decent price. Even if you don't want to buy it full price, usually Criterion has sales on Amazon every so often, so if you just keep your eye out, you should be able to get it. But it's definitely worth buying. Even at full price, it's definitely worth buying because it's a wonderful film with some great extras, great remastering. Everything about it is great. The film itself is a ghost story, but it doesn't reveal itself as a ghost story for a while. It actually starts out as just a normal drama. It's set in the 16th century. It deals with peasants who are farmers in a village. There's two men and their wives, and that's the central characters. One of the men, who's also a potter, makes all this beautiful pottery. He's a child. Well, his friend who has a wife, they're childless at the moment. The friend without a child, he wants to become a great samurai. He wants to go into wars because there's lots of wars going on about them. He wants to go there and make a reputation and fight, and he thinks that'll make himself more important, and he's obviously feeling insecure, but it's placed where he wants some importance, he wants some fame. The potter feels because of the war, people are now owning his goods a lot more, and he feels like the war is good for him, and it means he can get some money together to buy his wife some better clothes, to actually invest in a business and actually have a business of pottery, so he doesn't have to farm all the time, and actually to create a business for himself. So one's a bit more glory bound and one's a bit more practical, but they both get greed in different ways. I mean, the man who wants to do all this stuff with his family is greedy for himself as well. He wants the pottery to be a man of importance. He really does want that respect, because he thinks as a farmer he's just not getting it. He's just working in the fields and he's not getting much for his labour. So both men have greed for a better life. Their wives are telling them to enjoy what they've got because it's a harsh world, and they have family, they have friends, they should just enjoy that, because they can even lose that, but they pay lip service to that, but they don't actually believe it. You can tell they don't believe it. Their actions show they're not interested in that. They want what they want. Pardon me. So that's what they're all about. As the story progresses, basically because of the war, the potter's trade is becoming much more important, and he's doing this. He's mass producing lots of pottery just to get as much money as he can at the time, just to make a lot of money during the wars. And as he's about to finish off all this pottery, his village gets attacked by the soldiers, and they have to go on the run away from all what he thinks the profits are. The soldiers move on, they come back, turns out the pottery's all there, everything's in good shape, so they try and get it to town, really, through the war zone, and so they end up going through the lake. And this is where they encounter their tests of their character. Now, if you haven't seen the film, I would say stop the video here and go see the film. Whatever I've told you the first half hour, it's terrific character pieces, it's wonderful. It should tell you how good the film is just by the setup. What I'm describing the setup as, it's by these people who are they dislike their lives, and they feel there should be something more to their lives. The first third of the movie is just all about that. That's all it is. There's nothing ghostly about it. But after this point, I would say, if you haven't seen the film, for your own good, for your enjoyment of the film, stop the video, go see the film, then come back. Because even though this isn't a twisty film, the emotion's tied to how the story unfolds, and it's a wonderful story. And I don't want to ruin it for you. All I'll say is, it's a wonderful film. It's really worth your time. Just go see it. It's work of a master. The craftsmanship of the shots, the way the shots move. The shots are very simple. They don't try and intrude in anything. It's just like simple composition with lots of information within each frame. There's not lots of cutting, it's just moving from shot to shot, and it's giving you lots of information. The story's progressing at a good pace, but there's also a lot of depth to within the frames. You've seen lots of details that build and build and build. So it's not like showing you, it's not hammering home the points you need to know for the film to progress. It's a slice of life, but you're getting all the points in there as well. You're seeing this live, you're seeing this world unfold in front of you. It's really well detailed, it's really beautiful. Also, before you go, if you haven't seen the film, go try and see Sancho the Bailiff as well, because it's even better than this, and it's a wonderful film. So that's, after this, but I'm going into part of the film that I wouldn't spoil. I really don't want to spoil, but we have to talk about it, so I'd say, if you haven't seen the film, go see the film first, then come back. Okay, you had your warning. Right, they go to the town, they have to go through the waters in a boat with their pottery. They have to, and they end up getting to the town to sell their goods. This is not a town they're used to going to. Usually they go to a more local town because of the wars. They've cut off from that, so they go to a town they don't know. And during that time, they make a lot of money from the pottery. That's well in demand. People love it. They'll get their money. So the guy who wants to be a samurai, he runs off with some of the money, his share, and buys the samurai gear to go to the war. And during this time, he leaves his wife. His wife's trying to stop him, but he runs away from her and runs away from everything. She's trying to chase him. He hides from her. She is lost and ends up getting raped by these other samurai. They leave her some money. She's raped and she's left alone. Her husband has just wandered off. His samurai years left her as well. He doesn't even know about the rape. He just forgets all about her. That's pretty brutal. I mean, that's one of the most brutal scenes in the film, and it's just, you're not seeing tons of detail. It's just the emotion, because you've got to know the characters, and the way it's framed. it's not for gratuitous reasons, it just shows you enough to know what's going on and how it's affecting the characters. But it's done with enough taste, but also doesn't, not too much taste. It doesn't leave out the brutality of what's going on, but it doesn't like put your face in it all the time either. It's just like, it's really well done, the rape sequence, because it tells you what you need to know about the characters, what you need to know about the situation, but isn't exploitative. So this happens at the same time. The potter, whose wife has been left behind in the village, or she's been told to move away from the village up into the mountain and wait till the soldiers go. He's alone, and he's asked by this woman who's like a woman of one of the castles. She buys some of his stuff. She asks him to come up to the castle with what she's bought, and she'll pay him. So he does so, and he gets seduced by the woman. There's all these other handmaidens around her as well who are also helping her, and she's a seductress, and she's becoming she makes him forget about his family, forget about his responsibilities. He just needs this affirmation with someone who's of a world he wants to be in, because both of these men want to be in a world higher than they're at. They care too much about it, and the wives will say, no, that's not a good idea, it's really not a good idea, this is not worth it. But they don't, they can't see that, they have to get what they have to get. So they go to the work, so he ends up being seduced by this woman, and as it goes on, just something's up not right. Obviously said it was a ghost story. Turns out she's a ghost. She's come back from the world of the dead, and she's sucking the life out of him slowly, very subtly. Like, he doesn't see it because he's just entranced by her. And in some ways she's in love with him, but she's also sucking the life out of him, and he will die if he stays with her. And he ends up a man of religion, just sees that something's up when the guys go back to town to get some goods. He ends up putting writing on his skin that protects him from the ghosts, and ends up telling him, look, these people are dead, you've been drained of your life force, you'll not survive if you stay much longer. No matter how seductive it is, you have to break away. So he ends up breaking away. He ends up, when they see the writing on his skin, they really lose it with him, but they're just angry with him, they're furious because he did mean something to them, even though she's a seductress. And he ends up back where he started, without any money, having to get home. He's learned a lesson, but he's lost everything he was fighting for just by his moment of weakness. Meanwhile, the other friend, Samurai, has accidentally got in the head of the general of the opposition army, of the losing army, which he brings back to the master, and he ends up becoming a big samurai general. He's one of the big samurais now because of this one act, but he finds it unfulfilling. He just realises it's just a sham, it's nothing real, and he runs into his wife. He ends up in this brothel where his wife now works because after she was raped and she's lost all self-respect. And she wanted to see him before she died, basically, to confront him for what he did to her. And essentially, he ends up apologising to her, saying he wanted to become a samurai to prove himself to her. Like, that's why he was going to do it. It was not for him. Which is interesting bit of psychology about him. He ends up taking her back. He ends up walking away from samurai life and realising this is not good for him. This is not good. Because throughout the film, you've seen all these soldiers who've done what he'd done, become samurai, become soldiers. They end up having to attack villages to get food because they're starving to death. So they're not protecting people. They're basically predatory on people. They're just horrible. So that's the problem you see in the film. Like, all of the trapping, all everything they want turns out to be something that's dangerous to them and their loved ones. Like, having too much power as a samurai, it doesn't give him much. He's not really suited for that life, and it's not a very fulfilling life. It's a life of, like, proclamations and violence, but there's nothing really to it. He's actually much more satisfied with his wife and with the family. And when the Potter returns home, he finds his wife there with her son, and he spends a night with his wife, and then finds out in the morning that she died while he was gone. The son survived, but she was killed by the soldiers. And the wife he saw was a ghost, and she was just making sure he could get back to his son so he could bring his son up properly. That's a very moving sequence, because you see her die earlier on, but you're never quite sure the son survived or not, and it's a pretty brutal sequence. So this is just a wonderful film. It's full of detail, it's full of beauty, it's all about character and character flaws. No one's judged horribly for their actions. It's not like the Potter is massively greedy and is needing to be rich beyond rich. He wants to have a business, but he's not like horrific or anything. He is modest. It's just he gets seduced when he's gone, and he just loses track of reality. He's just seduced by unreality and his needs. And the samurai, again with the samurai, it actually seems to be more of the lesser of the two. He seems to be more of the scummier one of the two. But the more you go on, he looks more sad and pathetic, and he's just looking for some sort of connection with her life, and he doesn't recognise what he's got with his wife until it's too late, until he puts her through hell just for this dream that's not worth much. So it becomes a story of these two men and them come face to face with their own egos and their own ambitions and what it means for their families, and the families are the ones that pay for it. And it's a wonderful film because, again, it's not judgmental. It's just like, this is life, this is the way it happens for them, and they have to learn from their mistakes. It's not the end of suffering horribly. They're actually just like, they've been forgiven by the people who love them. They've learned from mistakes and they've moved on with life. They've returned to what their life should be. The Potter still does pottery, but now it's not his main thing. His son does the main thing. And it's just like they've learned from the lessons, but it's not like a preachy story. It's about human frailty, human foibles, the problems of war, how war affects people, how desire affects people, and how sometimes you can become lost and twisted just by simple desires that gets out of control. So that's what's really beautiful about the film. It's not like, there's no villain. Even the ghosts aren't villains. They're just people who are just self-centred as the two men in the early part of the story. They don't see the damage they're causing because they just want to get a taste of life. And the two wives, they're just resigned to the fact that life's unfair and you shouldn't expect much in this brutal landscape. You just have to try and survive with the people you love. That's all they're saying to their husbands. It's nothing much beyond that. It's just like, just be happy with something. And that's given some dignity by the performances, because it's not like haranguing the characters. It's just simple basic truth, and simple and done in a kind way. And again, even the lead characters who are flawed, they're not horrible people, they're just flawed people. They're just people who make horrible mistakes, the way people make horrible mistakes in life. And the whole film is about the flaws in people and the cause and effect of their actions. They don't think they're causing harm, does cause a lot of harm. But it's too late for them. Before they realise what they've done, other people have had tragedy fall upon them. That's what happens in real life, but in a lot of movies, like a lot of American films, it's like they whitewash the central characters and make everyone else a villain, you know, and it's not like real life. Here, even with a ghost story, it feels much more real life than a lot of films that are purported to be real life. This one feels much more, even though it's a fable, it is tied to what you know about life and the way people live and the ambitions and the things that affect them and the mistakes they make. Like, you don't need a ghost to see someone begin wound up with their ambitions to make money. That's just something that happens day to day. You don't need ghosts to see someone get bound up by ambition to be a great person in the eyes of people and then see how that affects other people and how people are thrown to the side because of that. I mean, this happens It's not happening without ghosts, it just happens in life. This film takes the supernatural element and uses it as a metaphor for what the problems are and where it leads. I mean, only one of the stories actually have ghosts in, the other one is just all about the reality as it goes through his life as things go wrong. But the ghosts are like a metaphor for the greed he's feeling, like the need to be a higher level, and it's almost like a ghost of the future if he'd attained that level and become this person of reality. You know, if he'd become richer and become much more powerful, he may have lost track of reality anyway, in a different way from just been seduced by a ghost. So I hope I haven't been rambling too much. I hope you enjoyed this. It's a great film. It's just wonderful to see. So again, hopefully no one's watched this who hasn't seen the film or hasn't watched beyond a certain point, because it's worth seeing the film as it unfolds slowly. It's not a twisty film, but it's how the story unfolds is why it's so great. So I hope you enjoyed this. I'll be back soon with another video.